Hi, everyone. This is Tommy Vincent, your host of In Her Words. And today we have joining us at the In Her Words table, all the way from Italy, we have Nausicaa Dell'Orto. And I'm so delighted to have her joining us today and to share some of the amazing things that Nausicaa has conquered and is continuing to pave the way. She founded the first ever female tackle American football team in Milan, Italy. She is the captain and tight end of the championship winning national team, as well as Sirene Milano. Nausicaa has helped inspire the expansion of the sport throughout Europe. She plays both tackle football and flag football. Nausicaa helped launch the Air Jordan, the AJ1 Mid Milans, and her documentaries have been nominated at the 2019 Sports Emmy Awards for Outstanding Sports Feature Anthology. Nausicaa, welcome to the In Her Words table.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that at this table that's extremely important to me is anyone who takes a seat that we get to hear from her in her words who she is. So, my first question for you is, who is Nausicaa Dell'Orto?
Nausicaa Dell'Orto is an American football player, first and foremost. I am a very strong and creative woman, for sure. And I love to help others achieve their dreams. And I love to give people goosebumps with the stories I tell.
So, you're a storyteller.
Yes, definitely.
Well, here at this table, um, feel free to share whatever stories it is that you desire to share with our listeners. The very first segment that we're going to go into is Food is Love. In addition to being a host here at In Her Words, I am also a chef. And so, this piece of the conversation is very near and dear to my heart. I feel like food is extremely powerful and it is a conduit for bringing people together. And so, my first question for you is, what food best describes your personality and why?
The food that describes my personality is uh, lasagna, for sure, because it has many layers and it's super good, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of work to make. And it really, um, I think it really reminds me of myself because it took a long time to become who I am today. And it took a lot of layers, a lot of patience, and it always takes a lot of patience to make something amazing like a lasagna. So I really recognize myself in that dish. And it's also the dish that my grandma used to make me all the time. So I have a bond with that.
Hmm. Has there ever been a time in your life where food was healing for you?
Definitely. When I started to work for NFL Films in Philadelphia in 2017, it was the first time that I moved like in the US by myself.
Mhm.
So the only way I could feel at home was cooking, and I was cooking for all my flatmates. And I brought my pans and pots from Italy, like a true Italian, and I made gnocchi for everybody.
Mm.
I made ragu for my cinematographers because I was also a runner for them on the field on the weekends, and cinematographers are not very talkative. They just do their jobs really well, And the only way I could bond with them was making ragu and just leave them in their lockers. And that's how I made friends. Basically, giving food to people, making pizzas for everyone, and it worked. So it made me feel at home. It made me feel, like I was healing in a way.
Wow, that the power of food, man. Look, it made you spoke to their souls with some delicious food. So I love that 100%. Does your family have an heirloom recipe passed down from generations?
Yes, the lasagna for sure. Because my grandma used to make it, and it was so fun because during the summer, my parents would leave me and my brothers and all my cousins in this house at the beach near Rome at Circeo. And basically, my grandma used to say from 2 to 4, it's either you sleep or you cook with me. And I didn't want to sleep, you know? So I just started to cook with her. And I remember that we made lasagna sheets, and then we hang them in the closet. So we had to take all the things out from the closet and put the lasagnas to dry. And it took such a long time, but it was so delicious. And also tiramisu. We made great. I
Mm.
made great tiramisu. I love it so much. And yeah, so these two, and also the banana ice cream. We have these three recipes which are super, super special. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to just put this out there for you. Um, my daughter and I, we're bringing my twins who are seniors in high school. We're bringing them to Italy. That's somewhere they've always wanted to go for like their trip before they go to college. And I'm
Nice.
making a reservation at your table for us to come for dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will definitely cook for you guys. I can't wait. For sure. My tiramisu and my lasagna, you'll be filled in 1 second. Absolutely. If you stop by, from Milan, just give me a call because I'll be ready.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into segment 2 of our conversation. And this section is all about us getting and going deeper into you so we get to know you more and really your journey, your story, and all of the things, as well as many things as we can cover in our conversation about you and who and how you have formed and fashioned yourself into the woman that you are today. So, the very first question I have for you is, um, you started a tackle football league for women. Do you recall the moment when you were watching American football and you were like, I want to do that?
Absolutely. So I was a cheerleader first. So I remember that I signed up for cheerleading and I wanted to do the competitions like in the US, and it was a new thing in Italy. But then during practice, like one of my teammates says, okay, so are you coming to the game on Saturday? And I'm like, what game? We're like, yeah, American football. Like, we're also cheerleaders for a football team. I was like, oh, all right. I didn't know that. So I showed up and I saw these guys play and tackle and, receive the ball, run through people. And after a couple of games, I just wanted to drop my problems and be like, okay, I want to get in. I don't want to be on the sideline anymore. I just ignited something in me, it ignited the fire. And I just wanted to be the protagonist. I didn't want to scream when they told me, when they, told me to scream. I just wanted to be in the action. And so I remember that I tried to find people like me around me because usually when you find your passion, you really find your people around you.
Hmm.
So I started from my cheerleader friends, and then some of the girls who were like, helping the team with recording the games or recording the practices or just, writing down stats and stuff like that. and they all wanted to play, but they never had the courage to ask the owner to start the league because it didn't exist at the time. It was 2011, and no girl was playing. They tried to play like in the 80s, but they never started a league. It didn't really take off. So we went to the owner, me and other friends, and this friend of mine, Valeria. We went to the owner and we said, we want to make the team. Like, we're so excited. And he said, like, no, you can. I mean, you can barely play soccer, you girls. You are, the weak link of the species for some reason. So you might get hurt, whatever. And of course, we didn't listen to any word he said, and we decided to take the destiny into our own hands. And we found a coach that believed in our dream. And we went to the park because we were in Tulare on a field. He gave us these old jerseys from the 80s that he took from Miami University, actually, because he was going there a couple of times to coach there in the 80s, and he brought back these jerseys. He gave us these jerseys, the old equipment. Everything was too big, but we started playing in the park, and then we found another team that was being created in another city, Bologna, and we organized a game. In July 2011, we won that game, and it was like in a potato field. Like the field was so terrible. It was a sand field, like the worst. But for us, it was like the Super Bowl. So many people came to watch, and when the owner heard that so many people were there, and it was actually a show, he decided to invest in all the movement. And you know, 11 years later, there are 15 teams, a national team, and a national championship. And so it's, usually when somebody's saying no, sometimes you just asking to the wrong person. And we found this coach who really believed in us. And I found the people around me that really brought this dream together. I think I didn't do anything by myself. Like when they usually point at me, like, this pioneer, of course I am, but all the women that actually, are trying to change the game are the real pioneers. The women that really put every day their work in to sacrifice and get out there on the field, putting their bodies on the line for the love of football, are the real heroes, the real pioneers every day.
Well, and that's indicative of the sport itself. That football is not one of those sports where one person can win the game. It requires the team. It's a team effort. In order to achieve victory, everyone on the team has to be committed to their role to ensure that success. And so when you say that, and I really appreciate you understand that you play the significant role in having the courage to identify, like, what do we need to do to make this happen? But the force behind you is the collective, the team that allow for this to happen. So I really appreciate that type of acknowledgement. And, that is speaks to really what this table of In Her Words is all about. When we recognize that, we are stronger together and moving forward and being successful, especially in a landscape where, for a very long time, at least on the front side of things, that what people see, you see men walking heavy and taking the leadership roles in a lot of things. But when you recognize that the collective of both men and women and the people involved in building sports, it takes everybody to really make it successful.
Yeah, I think that sometimes, feminism can be seen as misandry, or, like it's a fight against men, but it's really not. Like when there are men in my field that support women in football, it's a victory for me. It's just a victory for everybody, because once a man in a position of power really believes in female football, it's a victory for everyone, because
Hmm.
other men will believe that. And then eventually they will respect it. And that's what happened with us. Like at first, this coach believed in us, and then all the players wanted to coach us and wanted to really uh, make us great. And they they started to respect us. So I think, it's something we should all work for, and it's very important.
I listened to the video that was put together with the launch of the Jordan sneakers, the Air Jordan sneakers, and I heard you say in there about how your father made you throw away your helmet and your um, I don't know if he made you do it or he did it, where the helmet and the shoulder pads were in the garbage can. And I know that in the video you talked about how you felt hurt. Can you expound on that? Like when you saw that, how, what overtook you in that moment?
So I think that sometimes parents would make you do anything, would support you in anything besides you being yourself.
Mhm.
My dad wanted me to pursue biking, which I had no interest in because he had an interest in biking.
Like
And
cycling, biking?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So, and so the day he decided to throw my stuff away because he was against me playing football, um, I was really sad because I didn't have his support, and it really hurt me deeply. But then I understood something, which is, you know, there are going to be parents that love you but don't understand you, don't
Mhm.
approve of you, of who you are, don't accept you. And sometimes you won't convince them, no matter what, no matter if it's Obama that tells them that they have to accept you. That's not going to work. Sometimes you're just not going to do it. And that's why you have to find your space, claim your space, take your helmet, take your shoulder pads, hide them somewhere else, and then go to the field where is your safe space where you can be yourself and
Mhm.
and shine as much as you can, because that's where the light is, and that's where the people that believe in your dreams are. Because at the end of the day, I always try to talk to parents, try to like make them understand the importance of sports and the fact that a woman that plays football is normal. But then I'm not going to convince I'm not going to convince everybody, right?
Mhm.
So when I coach kids, I also have to prepare them, to prepare my girls, being able to face a person that doesn't approve of them, to find their own space, claim their own space, and own it. Because you have to own who you really are. You don't need the approval of anybody except yourself.
Mhm.
So I think that's I kind of like he did even worse things. Like it didn't just throw my helmet. He became violent.
Mm.
So it was, out of control. And that's one of the reasons why I realized also that I wanted to play football. Like, especially when I saw a therapist, is because I wanted to create my own shoulder pads to defend myself, to be able to, take the hits. And it's sad, but it sometimes it just happens, and you have to say it that it's not normal, for people to understand that it's something that is wrong. Violence is always wrong. I also forgave my father for what he did, because he's from 1936. He was born in 1936, so he doesn't understand what a woman in power is. He has no idea.
Mhm.
And so he was probably afraid, and that's how he reacted. So I forgive him, but I also know that the world of football is something that I will always carry with me. I will never let him get in this world because it's my world.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's how I felt, and that's how I feel about it now.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing that story, because sometimes we definitely have to fight for our dreams. And you said it perfectly. Violence is never okay. That is not, I am the chairwoman for the board for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I'm also a domestic violence survivor. And so, you know, violence in relationships comes, it's not just romantically in relationships where you're romantically involved. And there is story behind everyone who chooses violence in relationships. And you were able to identify, there is just background and timeline as to, why your father's reaction would be that way. And that's, it's good for you to understand the perspective. And also it's powerful for you to make the decision, that you're going to do it anyway. You're going to continue forward in what it is that one that you desire to do. But based off of the history of your journey and all of this, not only is it a desire, but it's something that you're built for. And it feels like purpose, because not only did you establish a dream for you, but you're part of making the dream come true for so many other women and young girls who aspire to be in this space and playing football.
Exactly. I think that it's very important because football really prepares you for life. Football is, for me, it's the art of keeping going when everybody is trying to bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they bring you down because they tackle you, right? It's like life. And then you have to get up and think about the next way and the next way. And it really teaches you to overcome obstacles. And sometimes the obstacles are in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're at school, sometimes they're at work. But you really need to step on a field and learn lessons that will, will accompany you and stay with you forever. So that's why I'm trying to build a legacy here. I'm trying to build the home, the field where we play and we coach. It's a home for me, and it's a home for a lot of girls that have problems in their houses or in their families or at school, and they learn how to face them on the field.
Mm.
So that's why I'm working so hard, because they deserve it, and they deserve the guide I didn't have, and they deserve some tips that I would have loved to have at their age. So that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to be there for them.
So, in addition to playing tackle football, as we discussed, you also play flag football, and you had the opportunity of representing Team Italy in the flag football um, games, where the 8 best teams in the world had the opportunity to compete in the World Games 2022 in Alabama.
Yes.
And so tell us what that experience was like. It was the best
It,
against the best.
exactly. It was super. The World Games were super competitive and super exciting. 9 out of 14 games in the first day finished by like one score or two as the difference. So they're super competitive when you play, at this incredible high level. You learn so much. You meet amazing people from all over the world. We increased our ranking, so we had a great time, and we went against Brazil, against France. It was incredible to compete against this incredible and super strong athletes. So I think it felt like the Olympics, because the first day, we walked in the stadium and there was like the opening ceremony, and the stadium was packed. There were lights everywhere, all these athletes. We were, saying hello like at the Olympics. And especially my team had like the Olympic uniforms, because in Italy, every like athlete that has a big competition, they get the Armani kit with like the 5 rings of the Olympics.
Okay.
So it really felt like the Olympics. But it wasn't. It was just, an event that was kind of similar. And for the first time in a very long time, when I walked into that stadium, I thought, you didn't waste your time playing football. Because,
Mm.
all your life, you hear people telling you, why are you doing? Why do you do it? Why do you train 30 hours a week? Why do you go to all these competitions? You travel so much. You sacrifice your weekends. Why? You also have a job. So how'd you do it? Why'd you do it? And it doesn't get you any money. Why are you doing it? And then it gets you to incredible places, like the
Mm.
World Games in Alabama, like the NFL, like the Super Bowl. And like this year, I went to LA at my 4th Super Bowl. And it's like, yes, that's why I do it. I do it because I love this game so much. It takes me to amazing places because it's something that you really, really, really love. You only get to amazing places. And that's the thing. And sometimes you gotta take that risk that it might be a waste of time, but it also might not be a waste of time. And what football gives you, it's just so much more what it takes away from you. It
Mm-hmm.
always gives you more. I lost 2 ACLs. I got brand new ones, so I'm great. But like all the memories, all the teammates, all the stories, all the kilometers I had to travel in different cities in Italy to be able to play. It was, it's amazing. It's something that I will always cherish.
Mm-hmm. So I know that, the World Games, I had the opportunity to watch the press conference, and I know that the hopes is that ultimately that flag football will become an Olympic sport with, you know, ideally that would happen LA 28. So what are your thoughts about that? What is like, you mentioned about how the experience at the World Games 2022 in Alabama, it felt like the Olympics, but it was not. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that, there's nothing like the Olympic Games platform, the Olympic Games competitions. They're a force of nature. They created something incredible, and it would be amazing to be part of it because it's the pinnacle, the dream of every athlete. And it's that northern star that so many girls in the US and in the world would love to reach and to follow. Because, at the end of the day in the US, when you finish high school and maybe you have the chance to play flag, or when you finish college and you have a chance to play flag, then after that, it's done. You can't play anymore at a high level. In Italy, it's a little different because we have clubs. So after, high school or college, it doesn't matter because we don't play sports in college. So we have clubs. We can play until we're like 50 years old. It's fine. But the Olympics is different. It can be your job at some point. You can be an athlete for real and not, work like 3 jobs and also go to practice. So it would be that northern star that we need, especially because flag football is a super fast growing sport all over the world.
Hmm.
um, I'm going to tell you something that's going to be mind blowing, but Venice, right? The city of Venice in
Hmm.
Italy. They have like 3 teams of flag football. Like, how, right? And the city of Cairo in Egypt has 7 teams, 7 of
Mm.
girls that play
7.
with the girls there play with the jobs, you know, and they're so strong. And I went there in 2020 with a friend of mine, Starbright, who organizes a lot of camps like that in Morocco, in Africa, and in Egypt in particular. And we brought equipment and our knowledge to the girls because we organized a camp there and a tournament, and it was incredible. It was amazing. Like, these girls can compete, and it's it's a world sport. It's a great sport. It builds confidence in girls, because there's always a space for a girl that is like 150 kilos and 2 meters in flag and football.
Mm-hmm.
There's a space for everybody, and I think it's unique because you don't often see, big girls or small girls in a volleyball team, but you can see them
Mm-hmm.
together, playing together and like football. So I think it delivers great messages for, young people and the next generation. And that's why I think it deserves a spot at the Olympics.
Yeah, I agree. Flag football is one of those sports that's inclusive, and everybody can play it. Even, you know, when you think about what is required to play flag football, you need a field, obviously, and you need your belts with your flags. So it doesn't require a lot of equipment and expensive equipment in order for, teams to be formed. And so it allows for you to touch spaces and places and young people in communities all over the world, presenting them with an opportunity to stay active, to engage and develop the skills that come along with playing sports. You know the discipline and the other things that are developed in you as an athlete that are transferable skills beyond the gridiron. And so it's just a great way to allow for football to be present in the lives of young people all across the world. And that would be so amazing for it to become an Olympic sport. That would be, I can imagine that, how when you talk about the young people that you mentioned in Venice and Cairo and all those different places, Egypt, when you talk about that, to know that there's potential and opportunity for you to do what you love on the world stage, that is, that would be so powerful for girls to be represented that way. What that point in time, they would be women at that point in time, of their life.
Exactly. That that's very important. It would build like better women and better humans all over the world. I think, when I coach my girls, I see that there's a change in them. Like when they start practice, they start the first time, it's like, I'm sorry, I dropped it, I'm sorry, I can't throw, I'm sorry. Because we're used to that. We're used to
Hmm.
apologizing for existing. And it's like, okay. And I always tell them, like, just switch I'm sorry to I got this. You got
Hmm.
this. Just keep going at it and practice. And at the end of the practice, they're completely different people. So if you
Hmm.
change a girl, you change a world. Ultimately, that's what people do. Like when, in developing countries, when they have to invest in something, they invest in women, because women are responsible for the education of kids, because they do things for the community, and that's why it's so important. And
Hmm.
also, flag can be played by girls and boys together, which is, I play co-ed too. So I think it's very important, because for once they're on the same level of field,
Hmm.
and yeah. So I think that would be a dream of mine to compete at the Olympics, for to help the movement, or help all these women to raise their voices and speak up and be able to compete one day. It's all about paving
Hmm.
the way for who's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you share with us? Can you share with us, what you mentioned about how the hours of training that go into you getting prepared to compete? Can you share with us what a day of training looks like for you? As I saw where you like to listen to opera and trap music, so what paint a picture for us of what that looks like.
I usually listen to trap in the locker room with my teammates, but I also listen to a song of opera, which is called um, mm, I mean, it's called All'alba vincerò, but it's part of a bigger opera. Of course, it's called the Turandot. Usually Pavarotti sings it, and it says like "I'm gonna win," and super like a crescendo of this incredible opera, and gives me strength to get onto the field and keep grinding. And basically, it depends because, like I said, like we have jobs and stuff, so we have to train in the morning at the gym. Then we go to our jobs, and then at night we train 2 more hours at the field. So we try to be very, um, consistent with what we do. You only have a certain amount of time on a day to work and also train, but if you manage it right because you care, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So how does that transfer over to like the discipline and the hard work that you put into your preparation to compete? How does that transfer to your work as a screenwriter and producer for NFL films?
So right now I work for the Zone. I worked for NFL Films before, but the Zone is the internet. I mean, the international streamer of the NFL. So we do documentaries about the NFL too. So I'm on the side now, but it's the same basically. And well, for me, what I learned on the field is that not necessarily everybody can play football, right? Like there are going to be people who can't for many reasons. They're too old, they have like some kind of problems, they have no time. But what I really understood that it was important for me as a producer is to deliver what I felt on the field to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you never stepped on a field, you don't necessarily know what it feels like, but I can share it with you and make you understand that my eyes like are shiny when I step on a field. When I put my shoulder pads on, I become another person, and I become one with my team, and I put my life in the hands of somebody else that is going to fight with me. So I think that, of course, discipline is good in everything. The discipline you learn in sports will always be with you forever in your life. You will you will have attention to detail. You will know that you have to be prepared, so you have to train first. That means in a documentary that you have to do your research, you have to do your checks, you have to talk to people and know a lot about the viewer you're talking to, and the human treats you want to share with that person. Because like a housewife and a football player, or a teacher and a football player, they have a lot of human traits that are the same. And to be able to communicate that, you have to find those traits, you have to find those uh, pieces of their lives that are together, that are the
Mm-hmm.
same. Um, so it's important to know who you're speaking to. And in football is exactly the same. Sometimes you will play with a person that you don't like, but you will learn to set yourself at a frequency, like a radio, and speak the same language with that person. You will find something she likes or he likes, and you will try to get to his level, to his language. So I think that's very important in my life as a producer, to always understand who I'm talking to and what I want to say. Um, so yeah, I think that this is what football taught me, that I bring into my own life every day.
Mm-hmm. So, what words would you share with a little girl dreaming to do what has not been done yet?
I would tell her, go for it. Try everything your heart tells you to try. I think that our heart is the compass.
Mm.
It knows where we should go, and if you follow it, if you really follow what you like, what gives you goosebumps, what gives you adrenaline, and energy, you can close your eyes and listen to that energy. You can feel it, right? And you always have to go in that direction. Because if we all do what we really, really love, then we get to amazing places. You will get many no's, but don't be afraid, because it only takes one yes to make your dream come true. So that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Keep knocking to the
Beautiful.
doors.
So we're going to our last question, which is part of our final segment. And the name of this segment is I am bringing her to the table with me. And so in this moment, I would like for you to give another woman flowers using your words, someone who um, has been instrumental, their fingerprint is on your journey. Um, it could be a woman that has who we haven't heard about that's been an intricate part in this process of the work that you're doing, or it could be a woman who you just know, I am this woman and I am where I am today because of her.
What if I have two? Ah,
Okay, so I'll make
okay.
an exception
So,
and give you space to share your two women.
okay, the first woman is my grandma, because she taught me to fight for the people and the things that I love. You know, when she was still alive, and I was always sad about my dad not approving of me playing football. She told me, Nausicaa, you will always have to fight for what you love and who you love. So buckle up, because
Mm,
it's gonna be a hell of a ride, but it's gonna be worth it. So she became an angel at 82. And that's why every time I do what I love and step on the field, I wear on my jersey the number 82.
mm,
And the second person is Samantha Rappaport from the NFL. She's the VP of football development in the NFL.
mhm,
When I was at the World Games of Women Tackle Football in 2016 in Orlando, Florida, she sat in front of 200 other girls that play tackle football that came from 50 countries. I mean, 50 countries. She said, there's a space for you in football. You can work in the NFL, you can work in football. And I couldn't believe her, but at the same time, I believed her. And it was the first person that made me picture myself in the NFL, made me picture myself in a position that was important for me and made me believe in my dream. She said it was possible and I believed her. And with her words, she pushed me, she inspired me. And she's one of the reasons I've done a lot of things that I've done, because I believed what she said.
mm. Wow. Yes, Sam, she's doing amazing things in the National Football League, and creating. Um, I don't even want to say change. She is just doing what's right by women in um, the landscape of the National Football League, and she's a great, great woman.
Definitely. She changed a lot of lives, and I'm really grateful for her, because she she's creating a pipeline that wasn't there before, and she's being like a guide for all of us. And it's
Hmm.
crazy. I'm from Italy, Milan, Italy. I shouldn't even know Samantha Rappaport, right? But I do. I know her because at the end of the day, that's what I said at first. Like, when you find your passion, you find your people, and all the people were there. And I met her, and I saw her so many times since then. We collaborated so many projects together, and it's just like a dream. It feels like a movie, but it's all true.
Hmm. So I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, Nausicaa, and I want to thank you for taking the time to come and to join me at the In Her Words table. I do know that there's a time difference between you and I. And so I'm grateful that this conversation meant enough to you for you to take time out of your schedule to join me. So I want to thank you for that. How can people follow along on your amazing journey? How can they follow you on social media or any other place where you want them to tune in to, be along on this journey?
So on Instagram, I'm Nausicaa Dell'Orto. So you can find me at my name, and also on TikTok and everywhere. I'm always with my name, so I have no nicknames. And yeah, definitely support me, support my team. You can also follow the Sirene Milano, which are my team, and FIDAF, which is my federation, where I mean, it's all of our leagues are under this federation that is being super supportive. It's the first federation in Europe that has put in place like three women in their board, and I'm one of the three women in that are chairman in this board. So it's very important to me. They're doing a great job. They don't have a lot of means. Our vice president at the finals, he traces the field because he cares so much about it. We have amazing fields and stuff, but we're still, with the means that we have, we work for free with a lot of passion. So they deserve a lot of followers for that. And that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you joining me um, at the In Her Words table.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really loved our conversation.